Hello, friends. This is Dr. Page, the best guy to see on the worst day of your life. Today, we're going to talk with Phil and Beth Bruns. They're experts in the field of career decisions, and we're going to talk a little bit today about their book, Launch Your Life. They have 4 children, and really come from this perspective of what to do with your life and your life purposes from very different backgrounds and very different personalities. So enjoy the show. Hi, I'm Dr. Page, the best guy to see on the worst day of your life, and welcome to the show. I kind of had a selfish motive for having you guys on the show today. We have 5 children. Now, as I'm talking, we know that you guys have 4 girls, which I think you need to write a book about that. But today I have with me Philip and Beth Bruns, and they have written a book called Launch Your Life. And this is a book primarily for kids, I suppose say children, but young adults in the college kind of years, maybe even earlier, launching out into life and kind of figuring out who they are and what maybe perhaps their destiny should be.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, guys. You have a busy family, I'm sure. It sounds like they're all growing and in college, and you've been through this. This isn't your first rodeo. You've been through this several times, raising kids, and also this is what you do, which is awesome. Tell us a little bit about how you got into this.
Sure. First, our background. My background is I have a degree in construction management and spent many years in construction and transitioned a little bit into real estate. And now I spend about 20% of my time, a real estate broker. I spend about 20% of my time doing that, and 80% of my time working on our Launch Mini platform, and including the book that you mentioned. And so it's been a long journey, and my career has been been some ups and downs, kind of as there is with everyone. But it's been a great ride. We're very fortunate to be able to be with you today, and I'm grateful for that. And we have 4 daughters, as you mentioned. People oftentimes give me like a second look or congratulate me for having 4 daughters, and but they're all wonderful young ladies that we're very proud of. And I'll let you share.
Yeah, I'm a chemical engineer. I work in research and development, and when it comes to starting, it's never easy going from schooling to your formal education to a career job or a first-time job. It's never easy. It wasn't easy 20 years ago. It certainly isn't easy today.
Yeah.
And I would say that his journey has been more filled with several schools. What is he going to do? What is he going to be? 3 or 4 jobs in the first 7 years of his post-formal education life, which he felt fairly discouraged about. For me, in those earlier years, the really hard stuff was I'm a female engineer.
Yeah.
About 3 women that were in my college class.
Wow.
I've had a lifetime of being a female in a technology kind of job, and I mentor a lot of young people. We both mentor a lot of young people because we want to offer them hope in God, hope in how God's made them, what that journey is that they're meant to, a road that they're meant to walk on, because we've walked the road of trying to figure out who do we want to be when we grow up, or do I still want to be an engineer? Should he stay in construction? So some of those professional questions around can consume chunks of your adult life.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's interesting too now, even at an earlier age, it seems like the emphasis now with even kids, even like freshmen in high school, it's almost like the school wants them to already have a course where their whole life's set out.
Yes.
And as parents, it's really hard, knowing the different personalities of all your kids. Like, I've got a kid in college like Phil. He really doesn't know what he wants to do with his life. I've got another kid who wants to be a linguist and go to a foreign country and translate the Bible. I mean, very different paths. One is like, just has no idea what he's going to end up doing, and the other is very specific. What kind of, as a parent, or what kind of advice could you give to a parent as far as how do I help navigate my kids down the right path?
Yeah. Well, it starts when the kids are young, really, and noticing what they like, what they dislike. When it comes specific to Christianity, as the parents, we want to be the Christian that we want our kids to be.
Wow.
And so as a parent, it starts with that as you think about your kid's spiritual journey. When it comes to the careers and their jobs, their futures, things of that nature, we spent a lot of time as our kids grew up noticing what they like, what they're good at, reinforcing those kind of things, and also providing lots of opportunities. There wasn't any of our kids that kind of chose one activity when they were 4 years old and did that all the way through school.
Right.
They all had 3 or 4 different activities as they were growing up, extracurricular, I talk about aside from their school, but it really helped them to figure out who they were and what they liked, what they didn't like.
So failing is okay.
Failing is a requirement.
It's a requirement. Well, and we would say when your children fail, quote unquote, that's your opportunity to help them with the voice in their head, which would be about you have grit, you have perseverance, you have character when it didn't work out the way that you wanted to. I mean, we have a good deal to say as parents around how any failure looks, and if we see it as an opportunity to reinforce resiliency, faith, the sovereignty of God, and good character, any failure can be used to move a person forward.
Yeah. There's that book written, Failure, the Back Door to Success.
Yes.
I forgot what it was about, but that
Yeah.
title encourages me to death. Hey, let me ask you this. So you guys do seminars all over the place, and you've got a seminar that you take people through. What do you tell, or what would the first thing you would tell a young person who's trying to figure out where do I fit in this world? What's some of the salient things you'd first tell them?
I think one of the first things we talk about is to have a dream. You've got to have a dream and understand that, again, from a Christian perspective, that God has made you very unique. You have talents, you have skills, you have lots of characteristics to give to the world that God wants you to give to the world. And when we start to understand that, when we start to understand how much God has worked in our lives to grow us with experiences and with people and helping to mold and shape us, and realize that we have a lot to offer, then we can really start to dream about, wow, I'm actually more than what I thought I was. And I do have a lot to give. So I think the first step is really to dream for God and how can God use you. And for some that might mean full-time ministry, others it might be an engineer, others it might be sales. You don't know what that might be, what your area of career will be. But yeah, having a dream I think is the first key.
Now, what I really like about the way we ended up structuring the book is that the front end of the book is exactly as he suggested. The middle part of the book is about self-awareness and putting a plan together. Because if you have a dream and you don't have a way to get to that dream, that could just end up as a broken dream. And so we have a thing in the book that's called IPA. It's called Intention, Planning, and Action. And generally when we talk with young people, they're either stuck on the dream and they want to be a rocket scientist, but they're getting an English degree, and it doesn't at all, match. So they have dreams that aren't going to be brought into reality, or they're young people and are other people our age that choose to take the position of the tail on the dog and not the dog. And so they're not really moving forward. They're not really taking a hold of anything. And so we really try to have balance in the book around that intention and dreaming, the I part, and then the P. How can you offer young people self-awareness around how God's made them, what they like, what they don't like, and where does that match for a career? And then how do they, kind of take the action to move themselves forward?
I think sometimes we all have a little bit of a disconnect. We have the dream, but we don't want to do the things we know we need to do.
Yeah.
So, what would you say? Because we live in a culture now where even gender identity is being challenged. What do you say to young people in maybe college about their identity and who they are, and why is that so important nowadays?
Yeah.
More than probably any other time in history.
Yeah.
Well, what we find is that a lot of young people, seems like as they move into college, and even as we work with young families as well, Christianity can become kind of what we do on Sundays. And a relationship with God isn't really a day-to-day sustaining relationship with God. So it's one thing to say, yes, you need to do prayer and Bible study and so forth, but it's another that it's actually soulfully part of what your walk is every single day. Mm-hmm. And so to address some of those things, you have to be in the Bible. You know, there's no great book you're going to read. I mean, our book is not a substitute for getting into God's Word and being grounded in it. And I think the more that we can ground young people in the Bible, the more that we steer them back when we do mentoring. In fact, the mentoring we do is a lot of Bible-based mentoring. It's not about tell me your list of skills and the random jobs you did, but it's more tell me about who you are. Tell me how what you've studied in the Bible that you think are your gifts that God has called you to do. What are those character traits that you want to take to a workplace?
What makes you tick?
What makes you tick? And it's not if they're in the Word and you have this conversation with them about the Word, some of these other extraneous societal issues, they're not really present when we're having the conversation.
And some of the things, honestly, when we sit down with a young person, I just had a conversation with a 19-year-old young man who's starting college. And at the last minute, about 2 weeks before school started, he decided to switch schools and kind of switch what he was thinking. We had a wonderful talk. But sometimes they just need a cheerleader, someone who's going to believe in them, someone who's going to cheer them on and give them a little advice on this. They're trying to navigate difficult waters.
Right.
But if they don't have like I said, a cheerleader, somebody encouraging them, somebody that believes in them, it's difficult. You feel alone, and then some of the younger people, they'll struggle with their academics, they'll struggle with their faith, they'll struggle in life in general, and a lot of times get tied in with other things. But gosh, it feels good even for us as older adults to have somebody believe in us.
Absolutely. Listen, on that note, we're going to take a quick break because I want to get back in this point that you had mentioned about kids losing their faith as they go to college.
Yeah.
So we're going to take a break. I've got Phil and Beth Bruns with me with Launch Your Life. So that concludes this portion of our show. We'll have the second half of the interview next week with Phil and Elizabeth. Thanks for joining, and don't forget to join our YouTube channel or to text BELIEVE to 66866.